Okay, so have you ever hosted a party and felt this huge wave of relief the second the last guest walked out the door? Well, you are not alone. And it's not because you're antisocial. It might just be a sign that you have a highly intelligent mind at work. You know that feeling, right? That quiet calm that washes over you when your space is finally yours again? It's a really common feeling, it turns out, and it has absolutely nothing to do with being rude or not liking your friends. Psychology actually shows this isn't some kind of social flaw. Nope, it's a sign of how your brain is wired to process the world in a totally different way. It's all about how your mind handles space, control, and yeah, your emotional energy.
So let's get into this. It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Why does something that's supposed to be joyful, connecting with people in your own home, why can it feel like such a massive psychological chore?
Well, here's the thing. For people with what psychologists call a deep processing brain, having guests over isn't a source of energy. It's actually a trigger for a stress response. Your nervous system literally, and I do mean literally, reads the presence of other people in your personal space as a major disruption to your internal order, not as a party. So, what's really going on here? It all comes down to this deep-seated need to protect your mental space. And look, this isn't about being inhospitable. It's about preserving that one place on earth where you can finally let your guard down. Think about it. Your home is your sanctuary. Psychologically, it's basically an extension of you. It's the one place where you don't have to perform, you don't have to filter what you say, or constantly manage how you're coming across. It's where you recharge your batteries. And this right here perfectly shows that instant switch. On the one hand, your home is your sanctuary, a place of control, recovery, and just being yourself. But the second guests arrive, boom, it turns into a stage. It's about performance, disruption, and stress. The whole vibe of the space just completely changes. And that sudden change is what triggers something called territorial stress. Guests just naturally disrupt that carefully calibrated environment that your brain needs to do its deep thinking and recovery. Your routines, the quiet, that feeling of being in control, it all just gets tossed right out the window. So, all of this disruption, it leads to one major consequence, an intense cognitive drain. And we're not just talking about being physically tired. This is about your mental battery getting completely and utterly depleted. You see, hosting requires constant social monitoring. You're not just kicking back and enjoying a chat. Oh no, your brain is working hard, tracking every tone of voice, every little reaction, and the comfort level of every single person in the room. For a highly analytical mind, it's like you're working mental overtime without the pay. And this just shows you the process in action, step by step. Your brain is automatically processing every single detail, every subtle cue, and it's burning through your mental energy at an incredible rate. And the tough part? You can't just switch it off. It's just how you're wired. Just look at this comparison. It reveals the sheer cognitive load a deep processing brain is under. While other brains might be filtering out all that extra social data, yours goes into total overdrive. You're basically operating at 95% capacity just to manage the room, which leads straight to overstimulation and exhaustion. But it's not just about being tired. It's about a fundamental mismatch, a mismatch between what your brain needs and what a typical social gathering actually offers. Your brain craves meaning. It wants insight, it wants substance. And because of that, those shallow, surface-level conversations, the kind that dominate most parties, they can feel intensely boring or even, mentally painful. And psychologically, this makes total sense. There's a brain chemistry reason for this. When information is too simple or predictable, the brain can actually stop releasing dopamine. That's the chemical that makes you feel reward and pleasure. So for you, small talk isn't rewarding. It's a chore that your brain gets absolutely nothing out of. And this right here really highlights the core conflict. Your mind thrives on order, on meaning, on predictability. But guests, they bring chaos, unpredictability, and weird social dynamics that clash directly with how you operate. Okay, so given this big clash between what you need and what hosting is really like, what does it all mean? Let's try to reframe this whole feeling with a really powerful analogy. I want you to imagine for a second that your mind is this high-tech lab, and it's constantly running these incredibly complex experiments. Now, to do its deep, important work, whether that's being creative or just processing the day, this lab needs silence, it needs order, and it needs total control over its environment. Now, what happens when guests show up? Well, guests are kind of like well-meaning tourists in that lab. Their presence isn't malicious or anything, but it forces you to stop all your important work just to make sure they don't accidentally knock something over or disrupt the delicate equipment. You have to pause everything you're doing just to manage them, and that is exhausting.
And here's the bottom line. You only have one mental fortress where you can truly decompress and do your best thinking. So it's not just understandable that you would protect it, it is absolutely essential. So the next time you hesitate to host, I want you to remember this. You are not being rude. You are not being unfriendly. You are engaging in what's called intelligent self-regulation. You are simply protecting the unique environment that your high-processing mind needs to thrive. The real question isn't whether you should host, but maybe how you can find social interactions that truly feed your mind instead.